You have the adult female hand on this side. Oh, there goes all the quarters. How's it going, Bladesters? Working to bring you specifications you can relate to so you can have an educated decision on your purchases. This is a knife from Rike, R-I-K-E. This one's called the Tulay, and this is actually provided by Ketuo USA, Ketuousa.com. So you can check them out to order these knives in. So they're basically the US distributor for them. So if you want to do that, this is how it sits in pocket. So if you want to get that started straight away. And then they are available in multiple different colors. So you have red and carbon fiber, black and green, black and red, black and fluorescent green, which this is. Obviously this is more of a yellow to me, but it says black and fluorescent green, and then a black and carbon fiber. You are paying a $10 premium for that carbon fiber, which isn't a bad price to get that in there. Actually, in looks, I think I would like to go with like the red and carbon fiber or the black and carbon fiber. Carbon fiber just looks good in there. This one itself goes, it's about 3.5 ounces. So for the channel, as far as weight goes, as far as money goes, this is going to be a total of 17 quarters and 1 penny. So if you have that laying around, if you want to get that in hand to figure out how much this knife weighs for a pretty long blade, that's going to be 17 quarters and 1 penny. So if you want to do that, that will help out to get a better understanding of how that's going to feel for you. Currently, these are available. They were sold out for a time period. They are all back in stock, so you can get any of those variants that I just talked about, anywhere from $140 to $150. They're currently on sale. Normal MSRP is $189 to $199, so it's actually a decent price for it as well for this knife. And this is actually going to be the first integral G10. So they had the integral micartas and there's regular integral titaniums, but this is going to be the G10 integral. So that's going to be kind of the revolutionary thing, kind of the new thing, but that's kind of an interesting thing to be able to just have one piece of G10 that everything's milled out of, so you don't have the body screws. It does have the body screws here, but this is actually going to be for the liner. This is not going to be holding it together. So really all you have is the pocket clip screws, and the pivot screw. But all this other stuff stays together. It's not going to come apart, and that's going to be how that all works together for it. So this one has going to be about a 2-pound, 14.8 ounce pull. So that's going to be using the Lyman pull gauge and actually figuring out how much it takes to actually deploy the blade. So that's going to be, for me, 2 to 3 pounds is really going to be what I like. So this is going to be on that pull. It's going to be 2 pounds, 14.8 ounces. Cutting edge on this is actually a little bit longer than the actual blade length. So that's actually, the blade length is measured from this nub, anything closest to the blade. So that's going to be 3.72 inches. And then the cutting edge on it, since it does have a little bit of a swoop to it, is 3.89 inches for that cutting edge. And it is a flat grind, so that's a flat grind all the way across. It does have that swedge on top as well. This one is running 154 cm. So 154 cm is going to be one that's going to be about 35th percentile in corrosion resistance and about 54th percentile in edge retention. It is interesting also on the font that they used. I don't know if we can actually see that, but it's kind of like more of a script type of font than a normal typeset that they use on many other knives. So it kind of adds a little bit of class, and I don't know if it adds something to it, but it's just kind of interesting, the typeset that they use for that. This one actually has, behind edge thickness is really good. 16 thousandths is what I got as far as the belly area here, and that's going to be about 4 sheets of paper, so you can take that out of your printer and actually be able to see what that is. For that behind edge thickness is about 16 thousandths. Ramp for this one, so basically for that detent ball to get completely onto the blade, it's going to be about 19 degrees, so actually doing the release, and when that ball gets onto the blade, that is 19 degrees. 20 degrees is really good, 30 degrees is okay, 40 degrees and above is pretty poor, and something you probably should change with that. Blade stock thickness is going to be 2.96 millimeters, and right hand tip up only. And that's where you come into some of the problem with this, is not for the deep carry clip, because as you saw in the beginning of the video, it sits really well in your pocket. The issue is these screws right there. So the thing that kind of almost ruins it are those screws. So it's such a simple thing, an inexpensive thing, but it does change the way that you're going to be using this knife as far as on a day-to-day regular basis, because those screws are very pronounced, take up maybe a third of the gap. So that's kind of a fatal flaw, I think, for this Rike knife, is those clip screws. So basically on a knife, the clip is going to be what you're going to use on a regular basis. The knife blade is actually sometimes less than the pocket clip, because especially if you're going to be fidgeting with your knife, you're going to be taking it in and out of your pocket, flipping it, closing it, flipping it, closing it, and then cutting every now and then. So that's where that pocket clip is important, and those clip screws not being sunken in or something, that really takes away from the overall experience with this knife, because most people have EDC pocket. That's where you get frayed pockets. This will add to that quite a bit, or take the pocket that's kind of holding on to its frayed edge. So that's kind of what happens with some of those, because it does catch sometimes. So right hand tip up again for this, and then general things. Pivot looks really good. I like this design. So the collar for it looks pretty classy. It has a logo on there. For some reason it's not centered. I haven't messed with the pivot too much, but this is where I did notice that it was coming loose. So in just flipping it back and forth, it was coming loose, tightened it, came loose, tightened it, and then so I went and actually added some Loctite to it. So hopefully it stays together. It locks up pretty well for the knife, but the flipper tab is a little bit more aggressive than I would like. So I think they could do away with some of the jimping on it, but that's something that is a thing. It does work well. I just would like it a little rounded. I don't think it's too necessary to have that much jimping for it. So this overall, would I recommend it in the use? This would probably not be something that I would have in my rotation. It was really cool to check out. Really wish them the best as far as getting it done. But that's kind of why I give you guys the specifications on the front side, so you guys can make your choice and decisions. A lot of you folks already made your choices probably by the 3-minute mark, actually just flipping the knife, holding it, seeing what it looks like, and that's going to be where you guys get your opinion from it. So for the adult male and the adult female hand, so we're going to have these two charts here. You can get that in the description, print that out for yourself. But that's going to be how that is for obviously an adult male hand, how that's going to sit. And then you have the adult female hand on this side. Oh, there goes all the quarters. You have adult female hand on this side. So you can kind of see how that's going to fit in your hand, what it's going to look like on a general purpose. And actually you can print that out, get an idea for yourself. So for that, this is overall going to be a borrow, but it's kind of on that verge of a void just because of those pocket clip screws on it and then that pivot coming out. But that's something that regular, I mean, it's not locked in there, not using red Loctite, but it just takes away from it as far as that aspect, and then the pocket clip. But it's a nice design. It's very striking. It's a very large blade. I found that I could probably use with a shorter blade, because just with little cutting taps that they do around the place, it's kind of a little bit longer. Even cutting open the UPS box, or not UPS box, but the US Postal box, just cutting the tape, it was just kind of awkward to get it in there, just because the blade length is so long to get that tip to just cut the tape. So overall, it's okay. But that's about all I have to say about that one today. But I forgot about the comparisons. So if you're still here, let's do the comparisons. So it's something that happens sometimes, but there's all one take and everything else, so don't want to really do it all again. So the Para 2, that's going to be that one, just because this is probably going to be always in videos because it's mine. But this is going to be the Solaris, how that's going to look for that. You're going to have a bug out, which is a pretty standard one. Then you're going to have a rat number 2, which is also going to be a pretty standard knife that folks have, compare it to and be able to check out. But now that is all I have to say about that today.